from Lagos. I am Bolaji Akinwunmi. Starting our conversation right now. It's on job creation. Tochi Adiukwu, an agri-business consultant, is here with me here in the studio, and we will be looking at exportable agricultural products as a means to create jobs for the unemployed in Nigeria. Thank you, Tochi, for coming on the program.
Bolaji, thank you for having me.
I know that agriculture is always a topic that we always get back to, always visit, we look into it time and time again. It's not something that we can always talk about once and leave aside. I just want to ask you, when we look at the developments in the agriculture sector in general, especially efforts by the federal government to increase food production in the country, what's your own assessment in the goings-on in the sector?
Well, recently, with the agricultural transformation agenda, the ATA, there has been a lot of buzz about reducing the food import bill, because we are the highest importers of fish, rice, sugar, and wheat. So there has been a lot of sensitization or awareness made by the Honorable Minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria on agriculture and rural development. So the question now you ask yourself is, has there been food sufficiency so far with the import bill, trying to reduce the import bill, the programs on ground, 3 years going now, how far have they fed in terms of, deliverables to the common man on the streets, in terms of putting food on the table, in terms of price reduction, food price reduction, has it fed? So these are the things on the front burner, and it's very, very disturbing that we have not actually applied ourselves. I mean, the country as a whole, structurally, the framework in terms of reducing import bill. Now, we consented to, in 2003, we signed the, what we call the Comprehensive African Agricultural Development Program, the CADP, along with some other countries. And there were 4 pillars on which this was signed, in which each country was supposed to invest a certain percentage of the budget, about 10% of the budget, into agriculture, and then measure this investment by 6% growth, productivity growth in the sector. But Nigeria, we're just on 2.3, which is really poor. Between 2012, 2013, we're just on 2.3.
That's just within a period, 1 year period now?
No, over time, we've been on between 2.0, 2.3. So the most recent was one of the statistics released by one of the foremost research companies, put it on 2.3 as at, the last 2 previous years. So,
but between then and now, because you talked about 2011, 2012,
yes.
If I get you right, between 2012 and now, which is going to be 2 years, have you seen any form of improvement in that regard? The
policies have not been applied. The reform program is there on paper, but the policies have not been driven through. There are 2 different things. You make a program, you design reforms, and another thing again is applying yourself to delivering those policies or those reforms. Taking a step 1, practical steps, step 2, okay, you want to reduce import bill.
But there seems to be some kind of success in that direction, because the agriculture minister a while ago came to say that our level of importation, food importation, has dropped significantly. What's your own take in terms of that, considering the fact that we are a high import-driven economy, and if we're able to reduce the amount of food that we import? What does that say to you?
Very, very true. He made mention of that, about what the country had saved in terms of foreign exchange, in terms of the import bill, the improvements. He mentioned the figures and all that. But the question now ask yourself is that, are we driving a program, or are we just driving a 4 or 3 year program? There's a difference. Now, the question is that what is the bigger framework? Where are we heading to? Where is the sector heading to? Not just in the space of time, not just 3 years out of maybe a 15-year period. What is that program that we're driving towards? Now, these are the programs now that we attract investors, that will going to stimulate job creation. This is a program that is going to change the industry as a sector. Just like you have other sectors, the oil and gas, the power sector, you also have the agriculture sector.
Okay, I know that when we talk about job creation, our attention is usually focused on the youth. What is the level of youth, in the agriculture sector, youth employment now? How would you describe their involvement in the agriculture sector?
Well, the issue now is that a lot of unemployed Nigerian youth are not properly, we are running a system that is non-inclusive, like a non-inclusive growth system, growth pattern in the sector right now. A sector that is supposed to be the highest employer of labor, a sector that is supposed to be generating the highest GDP, is also supposed to cater for the youth, the Nigerian unemployed people. There are a lot of people, even in terms of putting food on the table, in terms of cost of items. If you follow up what NALS is doing in terms of commodity pricing, further our commodity pricing is not still competitive on the international market. Like our price of maize per ton locally here is not still competitive. So you can't start telling yourself now that you want to export maize from Nigeria. You don't have a comparative advantage. Now the question you ask yourself is this: the challenge we're having right now is that the Nigerian youth are not being properly catered for in terms of the agricultural transformation agenda. Good, there has been a lot of programs on ground, the You Win and all that. But let me give you a classical example. Now, in the fishing industry, for instance, recently the federal minister, they commissioned a vessel for Neoma. They called it a marine research vessel. Spent about 11 million euro in acquiring the vessel. But the question is, Neoma, what's the budget like? Can they afford to maintain such vessel? It's a research vessel.
Is it a private sector company or
Neoma
vessel?
is an MD of the federal government.
Okay.
You understand? This marine research vessel was acquired for them by the federal government. You understand? It's acquired by the federal government for them, because they are marine biologists, for their research purposes and all that.